So yeah, we got a predicament here. Some people in the community are saying that military surplus is dead. It's over. The price and valuations have gone too high, and there's no way for them to continue to collect and enjoy the hobby. So they're out. Does that mean that everyone else is out? Are there still people buying military surplus weapons? I was at the gun show in Greenville, South Carolina this weekend, and I had the chance to meet a lot of people out there, and I saw what people were buying. There was, at least on Saturday, over 2,000 people that showed up to this show. I talked to multiple vendors, and all of them said that they had record sales for this year, 2024. Could that be because of politics? Maybe. Could that be because maybe we're in, August, school started, now the summer vacations are over? Yeah, could be as well. I also captured some data from the show and got some insights that I think you might want to hear. All right, to understand what kind of market we're in 2024, we have to do a recap of the last 5 to 10 years. A lot of video games, a lot of movies, TV shows, a lot of the millennial generation got into collecting because of the video games and TV shows and movies. Not only that, during the pandemic, we saw that a lot of these generations, these newer generations, were picking up military surplus weapons like never before. That is because the stimulus money, the free money, unemployment money that people were getting was just insane. So that brought up demand, and that brought up the prices. Now, when we say the millennial generation, we're talking about guys, gals in their mid-30s or so. They probably established their careers, and they're probably more well off than they used to be. They probably bought a house. I mean, you got to think that a lot of things during the pandemic was going up in price too. Also, inflation was going up because you had a lot of money floating around that brought up inflation. So the cost of energy, the cost of food, the cost of going out to eat, the cost of used cars. Now, a few things that also helped bring up the prices was the older generations were selling off their collections, which they had amassed for really cheap back in the day. You have to remember that some of these military surplus weapons over time have just gone up in value further than inflation. Now, I think some people don't really talk about this because we kind of just take it for granted, but think about credit cards. Think about buy now, pay later type things. Affirm, right? You got these different programs out there, there's different ways to spend money without actually taking money out of your bank account immediately to make a purchase. So I think a lot of people were using credit cards and leveraged their money in order to get some of this military surplus. Fast forward to 2024, prices went up too high, too fast within the last year or two prior to 2024, which is not good. That's kind of like took a lot of people out of the market in general because people were saying, oh, that's just too high. Why would I want to spend that much money on something that used to be really cheap? And the other thing is the economy stabilized-ish. I mean, maybe within 2024, the economy's kind of stabilized. Inflation's kind of normalized, but you still have a high price for a lot of goods. There's also still a pretty decent demand for these military surplus weapons. I'm not seeing a whole plethora of these things available at local shops. I'm not seeing guys get turned down because the shop doesn't want to sit on a military surplus rifle for a long time. No, shops are still buying military surplus weapons. Gun show guys, they're also buying military surplus weapons because they know that there's still a demand for them and people are still buying them at a kind of normalized rate. Not saying that, some people are selling them at a really high valuation still, because you still see that people are trying to sell them at a high valuation, but there's still a demand and it's still out there. Now, with the economy being the way it is, I'd say that the sentiment overall is probably down than what it used to be within the last maybe 4 or 5 years. Not only that, but you saw a drop in supply. There's not a lot of these things coming back into the country from those other countries out there. In fact, there's actually wars going on right now where some of this military surplus that have been hiding out in caves have been uncovered, and some of it has actually stayed in those countries, and you never know. There's probably surplus out there that's being used actively in these wars that are out there right now. So are we in trouble? Is military surplus dead or dying off right now? I don't think so. And that's because while at the Greenville Gunshow, I saw a lot of guys and gals within that 18 to 25-year-old range, and they seem to be pretty enthusiastic about military surplus weapons, and they had a lot of knowledge. Now, do I think that they are going to be buying up stuff like crazy right now? Probably not. And that is because they do have the drive, they do have the enthusiasm, but it's just not affordable for them to pick up a whole bunch of weapons. They have to be selective. I can definitely see them being selective in what they get. I can definitely see that, you know, they probably are very young in their careers right now, so they're not making as much. And the way things have gone with the economy, pretty much keeping them from spending a lot. Now, another shocking thing was that the younger crowd, even younger than 18, as young as 12, there was a few of those guys out there that were very interested and very enthusiastic about military surplus weapons, and they had a lot of knowledge. Now, when it comes to seeing that, I say, okay, these kids, they probably play a lot of video games, and they probably are influenced by the video games, and they probably do their own research, and they're probably interested in military history. So, is it going to be dead for those younger generations? Probably not. They're probably going to wait till they get a job and they can afford stuff, and they don't have to have their parents, you know, negotiate with their parents to buy stuff, and they'll have their own collection. That's another problem here that we have, is because as long as the demand stays relatively normal or even high, that means that the supply will also stay normal or relatively low. That will mean that there are probably not a lot of options for those younger guys to pick up military surplus. And so they're going to go for the cheaper options. Even now, if they say, hey, I don't want to collect too much military surplus weapons, I'd rather spend money on magic cards, or I'd rather spend money on collectible video games from back in the day. So they're going to try to find maybe other cheaper collectibles to collect, and then maybe eventually save up something to get military surplus, or wait till they find a really good deal. That probably means that the demand for military surplus is not going to be too high. So looking forward, a lot of World War II military surplus, a lot of World War I military surplus dried up. The places that you're finding military surplus still coming into the country, you're finding stuff coming in from Ethiopia, Italy, Switzerland, maybe France. You're seeing the CMP, the Civilian Marksmanship Program, with a whole bunch of M1 Garands, 1903s, 1917s, and they recently had Krag Jorgensen's, aka Springfield Model 1892, 96, and 98. Those are coming into the country, or they're available. You know, the CMP, they're already in the country. They just become available to the civilian populace. All right, so here's what to look out for. If you see prices go lower and lower and lower and people aren't buying, that could be a problem. But as long as you have somewhat of a demand for these, if the prices on these go lower, the valuations go lower, and people buy still, then that means that, you know, we're probably pretty healthy. I think that the prices going down is pretty healthy for the military surplus market. Definitely better for those younger collectors out there, or those collectors that are on a budget. The other thing is, as those younger collectors or those guys on a budget, as they grow their careers and make more money, then they might be able to afford a little bit more. So some of the more pricier collectibles are probably going to stay at those higher price ranges, and especially the ones that are really rare. Now, here's the inevitable. The inevitable is that we'll probably see another spike in valuations and prices of these military surplus weapons. That being said, because you never know when a huge video game title or movie title or a TV show is going to come out and drive the prices up again. Now, it's kind of been a while since we've seen anything like Band of Brothers that was on that level. A lot of people say Masters of the Air was pretty good, but it really wasn't driving military surplus weapons. It was more or less the aviation aspect of things. So you might maybe see a spike in people going to air shows because of that. The other thing is, when you see a video game that comes out, a huge title based around some of the major wars that were fought, that's when you probably see a spike in demand for the weapons that were used in that video game. Even like Red Dead Redemption, you saw a spike in Western weapons. I mean, people were having fun getting those either collectible Western weapons or getting some of those reproduction Western weapons like Cimarron. All right, so knowing all this information, what do you do with it? What am I gonna do? All right, so I think that what people should do is just, make logical decisions, not go out there and buy something based on emotion or based on fear of missing out. Oh, I see this Mosin over here that's 1891. I'll probably never see early dated 1891 Mosin again, so I'm just going to buy it for a high price. No, do some research, research the valuations, and try to find good deals. There's plenty of deals out there. I've seen some out there. Also look for maybe gunsmith specials. Maybe someone's got a rifle that has a problem, and they're going to pick it up for cheap because they know they can fix that problem. But the person that owns that weapon that's getting rid of it probably doesn't want to take the time, effort to do the research to fix the weapon. And then, so you see some people going and buying stuff from Royal Tiger Imports, the stuff that's coming out of Ethiopia. And if it's got a good bore, they'll fix it up, they'll redo the stock, they'll do like a hot bluing process on the metal, and some of these things come out looking pretty snazzy. Now, obviously, you have to, say, hey, is it worth my time? If not, just try to look for good deals on weapons that are already out there. Go search around online, go search around at your local shops, go search around in shops out of town. I'm actually on my way to a shop out of town right now, so I found this awesome place to film this video. But yeah, the last thing here is, have some goals. Set some goals for the year, collecting goals, what you're looking for, what you want to expand your collection upon, and just be picky. You don't have to be too picky, but you have to be picky in a sense that, hey, if you find something that that kind of doesn't fit your goals, then don't worry about getting it. Or if you find something that does fit your goals somewhat, then maybe you consider getting it. With all that being said, what are you guys going to do for the rest of 2024 with military surplus weapons? Are you guys out there buying some stuff up? Are the politics kind of scary? Yeah, I think the political climate could definitely equate to more sales in military surplus weapons. Well, with that being said, if you found value in this video, be sure to pulverize that like button and subscribe for the algorithms. It really helps out with the channel. Appreciate it. And also be sure to check out the merch link in the description. I got some really cool t-shirts there, guys. Help support the channel by buying some shirts. And as always like to say, be sure to learn history and curate history. Make it a great day.